American rabbis that similarly signed a list. I could go through that as well. But I put the Israeli one up there because none of those guys are implicated with scandal. That's why I put that up there. It's like, really? So every single rabbi on that thing, when none of them are? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't even bring up the American ones because they're talking about the American ones, right?
Right.
Israeli ones aren't even touched with that.
Right.
So how dare he say something like that? Why are you giving him a forum for that? You can't walk away from the Lashon Hora on that. You can't. Why would you give a guy?
Well, but there's no Lashon Hora in that he's attacking. He's not naming names. He commenting on one blog. He's not saying that such and such a rabbi is a child diddler. He's like attacking on issues.
If we do this, right? If I say, oh, they're the few standing, right? And I say that about we're going to talk about
Tea Party.
Tea Party.
I'm Tea Party.
Yeah, all the Tea Party people are racist. No, the few standing that haven't been caught with racist things, right? And that seems to implicate you. Here's how. Let me teach the laws of Lashon Hora right now. This is a Torahic thing. The way Lashon Hora works is like this: you have to leave. How do I explain it? You have to leave an out for people. You have to leave wiggle room. You can say some of the people in a particular group are guilty of doing X, Y, Z, and that's not in Lashon Hora if it's true.
Right.
If there are some people in that, but you have to be able to say that most people in that group are not guilty of that, and in this case, you would say the great overwhelming majority of people in that case are not guilty of it. We're talking about a very specific, small number of people.
Yeah.
You have to be... Anything less than that is Lashon Hora. And it's horrible because it's character assassination. If you give the impression that most people in a group are guilty of doing something, then and you're wrong about that. They're not guilty of that. Then you just did a terrible avera. You did a terrible thing. Because what you did was you gave people the impression that odds are when I meet somebody in that group, I'm talking to somebody who's guilty of XYZ. So you just painted everybody's, you know what I'm saying? This is you have to give wiggle room. You can never say most unless it's factual. You can say many, but you can never say most. But he went a further step than that. He actually spun it the other way around and said the few that are still standing and are not subject to scandal. That flips it in reverse and makes it sound like 95% of the people are scandaled and 5 are not. That's reprehensible. That's complete rishus. That's completely evil. It goes against the Torah. And then when you said the guy's not from, I was like, okay, well, that explains it.
You said all these horrible things, but do you think anyone was hurt by what he read? Do you think anyone seriously is going to take Torah less seriously or drop observing the mitzvahs from reading that blog post? He
besmirched the great names, the good names of our greatest rabbis. And how dare you give how dare he say that, and why are you giving this guy a forum to do that? To trash our rabbis?
Well,
do you have some inner hatred towards Frummies?
Do I have some inner hatred towards Frummies?
Towards...
I mean, if you ask what emotions one has, one's emotions are all over the deck. I think when Frummies do good, I love it, and when Frummies do bad things, I hate it. So
why are you giving this guy a forum?
I find him interesting. Just like I get a lot of complaints, like how do you have this guy Rabbs on? He's so crazy, or he's this or that, and I find him interesting.
Okay, I wanted to say because I said I think this guy should apologize.
Right.
And I'm going to read him to his bullshit apology.
Okay.
And I quote it. I just pulled it right off your site. I apologize to the great ones, like he says it in a condescending way, who believe that their interpretation of Genesis is more important than how God actually created the universe. Now, as you can see, he couldn't just apologize to the rabbis. whose good names he besmirched. No, he had to do it in the most grotesque form of Lashon Hora. He had to, again, call them the great ones, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's an insincere apology. It's a backslap at, you know, it's a, what do they call it, backhanded slap?
Yeah.
And he had to compound his insincere apology with his other nonsense and continue his name-calling. So I first find the guy very juvenile. I didn't respond to it there because I didn't want to get into an online fight with some moron, right? So I figured out, you know what, I have the power of the TV here, so we're going to do this. So I think the guy's a fucking hypocrite is what he is.
Right.
So much for his stupid attack against Rabbi Orlovsky, which we discussed here back in August, right? Who was the one who called another rabbi a moron, because Kelsey's a flat-out name caller, and he needs to shut the fuck up when others call names. Am I off base here? Tell me what you think.
I don't have any opinion.
Oh yeah, Mr. I'm not an advocate. I'm not an advocate. I'm only here to watch football and monitor the chat room. I have no opinions. It's amazing how somebody was like you was born with no opinions.
Yeah, it's a divine gift. It's really not me. I'm just a vessel.
All right. And it is not, quote-unquote, their interpretation of Genesis versus, quote-unquote, how God actually did it. Rather, it's how God told us that He did it versus heretical stupidities that claim otherwise. What else? Well, my last thing is a question for you. Again, why do you waste your time providing a forum for heretics and morons?
Find them interesting.
What's happening in the game?
The Cowboys
is that the hit?
Yeah, that's what knocked Romo out, and the Cowboys just fumbled, and even though the Giants have turned the ball over 3 times, the Cowboys 0, the Giants are leading, and
he got hurt. Yeah?
It doesn't matter, it's just stupid Croatian nonsense.
Anybody in the chat room yet?
Not really.
No, nobody cares. Nobody watches my videos anymore. We killed it. Nobody watches this stuff.
Oh.
Alright.
Time will tell.
Next, my ratings are tanking. They were really high before.
That's okay, we just do the good work and the viewers will come.
Oh, is that right? Okay, next thing. Last week, I thought about this. I watched the whole video and I said, you know what? You've got some contradictions, pal. So I'm going to point them out to you. You repeatedly made a point of the size of Rabbi Levin's shul. You've done it in 2 separate videos.
Okay.
But
so he's got like 40 members.
Yeah, you've got to say this every time. You've got to tell us how the size of his shul and make a point about the fact that he only has, you know, one time you said he's got like 25 members, and the next week you said he had 50 members. But the point is, you always got to say he's, you know,
he's a marginal
rabbi. Yeah, marginal rabbi. He's got to make a big point about this guy's size of his shul, as if numbers is somehow important to that story. Folks, size doesn't matter. I repeat, size doesn't matter. Torah doesn't care about popularity contest. Torah is not a popularity contest. If it did, if the Torah cared about popularity, then the Buddhists and the Muslims have it right. Because billions of people follow those 2 religions, but only a tiny fraction of the people on the planet follow the Torah. Right there is your proof that Torah doesn't care about how many people subscribe to the truth. If numbers amongst Jews were important, then Torah should be trashed in favor of secular liberalism, because more Jews today are secular than there are Jews who are frum. So if we counted Jews up and said, okay, size matters amongst Jews, then I think that the secular Jews have it right. But we know that they don't, because the truth is what's important and the numbers don't matter. Now, interestingly, if we go by numbers within the frum world, then we should all be Satmar, because the Satmar Hasidim are the majority of Shomer Shabbos Jews in America. Obviously, we don't need to be Satmars, and that's because size of communities doesn't matter. What does matter, according to Torah, is that we preach Torah values, as Rabbi Levin did.